Shalom, welcome to another video, and as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Wadash, and next double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of the great millstone who teach and who rule well, peace, blessings, and safety. To all you sincere Akim, keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of whether people hear or whether they forbear. This is going to be a breakdown of Isaiah, the 7th chapter, and it's not really much to break down, but, you know, this is going to be a part of that, what's the playlist called? To the Law and to the Testimony, Salakia. I lost my train of thought for a sec. The playlist to the Law and to the Testimony, if you didn't know that was there, is pretty much breaking down different chapters within the prophecies and within the law, all right, and it's inspired from the scripture, Isaiah 8:20, to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. So I once again break down the law and then break down the testimony of Yahawashi, which is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so this is another installment, once again, Isaiah the 7th chapter, and we're going to dive right into it. Yahawashi, meaning Heavenly Father's will, is edifying to the elect. All right, so starting off from the top, all right, this portion of the chapter is entitled War Against Jerusalem. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. And if you don't know, all right, Jerusalem, all right, was within the southern kingdom. Okay, that was like the headquarters of the tabernacle of David. All right, and this is after the southern and northern kingdom split. Okay, after Solomon's death. All right, where you had Rehoboam, which was the first king after Solomon, you know, on the tabernacle of David, and then the northern kingdom had their first king, which was Jeroboam. Okay, but anyways, this is prophesied of, or the prophecy we're about to read was prophesied in that time, which, let's get a quick precept. 2 Kings 15:38, I already have it pulled up. It says, and Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David his father, and Ahaz his son reigned in his stead. So just for context, okay, you know that what we're about to read happens within this time frame, okay, within the book of 2 Kings. 2 Kings 16 verses 1 and 2, it says, and in the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of Yahweh his power, like David his father. Okay, so a lot of times when you're reading the prophecies like Isaiah, okay, and various other prophecies, Amos, you know, Malachi, etc., all right, it tells you the time period and when these things happened. All right, and this is pretty much just telling you that it lines up, the events of this line up with 2 Kings, and then also you could see in the title there, 2 Chronicles, the 28th chapter as well. Okay, so let's continue on. Isaiah 7:2, it says, and it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim, and his heart is moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. All right, so let's get a quick precept on that. Going back to that 2 Kings 16, all right, and verse 2 Kings 16 and verse 5. It says, then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, the northern kingdom, came up to Jerusalem to war, and they besieged Ahaz, but could not overcome him. So this is happening within that same time period. All right, now, if you didn't know, okay, the southern kingdom and northern kingdom, they had the split, and they were beefing. All right, and the northern kingdom would constantly go up against the southern kingdom. All right, let's get this in NLT. All right, it says, the news had come to the royal court of Judah, Syria is allied with Israel against us. So the hearts of the king and his people tremble with fear, like trees shaking in a storm. All right, let's keep reading. Verse 3, it says, then said Yahweh unto Isaiah, go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou and Shear-Jashub, thy son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field, and say unto him, take heed and be quiet, fear not, neither be faint-hearted for the two tails of these smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of risen with Syria and the son of Remaliah. All right, so the Lord is saying, fear not. Why? Because we read in that 2 Kings 16 that they came up against him, but they were not able to overcome him. Verse 5, it says, because Syria and Ephraim, because Syria, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah have taken evil counsel against thee, saying, let us go up against Judah, and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabiel. Now, when we go to, let's go to Isaiah 11 chapter. All right, and this is a future prophecy of reconciliation between the southern and northern kingdom. All right, it says right here, I'm going to read it. Isaiah 11:13, the envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. All right, why? Because once again, they would go to war against each other. Okay, so let's continue on. Isaiah 7:7, thus saith Yahweh by Yahawashi, it shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years, a score is 20. So within 65 years, 65 years, shall Ephraim be broken, that it shall not be a people. All right, and let's get a precept on that. Okay, because Ephraim, all right, which is the head tribe of the northern kingdom, all right, was the first to be destroyed. Okay, the northern kingdom was taken into captivity under the Assyrians before the southern kingdom was. Okay, under the Assyrians, not the Syrians, two different people, as we're going to see as we keep reading in this chapter. This is Hosea 8:8. It says, Israel is swallowed up. Now should they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. For they are gone up to Assyria, a wild ass alone by himself, and Ephraim hath hired lovers. All right, now, okay, when you read those accounts in 2 Kings, okay, what ended up happening is Ahaz, the king of Judah, all right, he was afraid, just like we read in Isaiah 7. He was afraid when Syria and Israel, the northern kingdom, came up against him. So he went and hired out the Assyrians to come up against him, and that's how the northern kingdom ended up getting plundered and going into captivity. All right, which once again, all this is found in the book of 2 Kings. Okay, now let's continue on. Isaiah 7:9. It says, and the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established. All right, now, okay, with that being said, as it said, Ephraim, the head of Ephraim is Samaria. So, okay, when it talks about Samaria in the New Testament, all right, Christians don't understand that the northern kingdom, that was like their headquarters. Okay, so they're just a little context for you. If you see Samaria, you have to understand that that's really where the northern kingdom dwelt at that time. Okay, but anyways, so once again, the northern kingdom got taken down by the Assyrians because Ahaz, king of Judah, the southern kingdom at that time, the tabernacle of David, had hired out the Assyrians to go against the Syrians and the northern kingdom, because the Assyrians were mighty warriors. All right, so that's how that captivity started, and that's how the relationship between the southern kingdom and the Assyrians started, which eventually led to the Assyrians kind of come up against the southern kingdom as well, because the southern kingdom under King Hezekiah decided that they were not going to bow down to their practices and continue to serve. Okay, because once again, Ahaz was wicked. Ahaz, it said that, as we read in 2 Kings 16, 2 Kings chapter 16, that Ahaz, that he did not follow after the ways of his father. So he was an idolater, okay, which caused, as we're going to read, that's what causes Assyria to be raised up against the southern kingdom as well. But let's continue on, though. So now this second portion of the chapter, all right, is the prophecy on Yahawashi. All right, so I'm going to start from verse 10. It says, moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz, saying, ask thee a sign of the Lord thy power, and ask it either in depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, hear ye now, O house of David, Is it a small thing for you to weary man, but will you weary the Most High also? Let's read that in NLT. Alright, so he said unto him, Then Isaiah said, Listen well, you royal family of David. Isn't it enough to exhaust human patience? Must you exhaust the patience of the Most High as well? Alright, because once again, Ahaz was considered wicked. Alright, verse 14. Therefore, Yahawashi, Yahawashi, the Lord himself, shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Immanuel. Okay, and first we'll go into that word for Immanuel. Alright, Immanuel. Okay, Strong's G86005, and it's a Hebrew name. Alright, which means God with us, or with us is God. Alright, and you see symbolic and prophetic name of the Messiah, the anointed, prophesying that he would be born of a virgin and would be the Most High with us. Alright, and that part about him being born of a virgin, alright, is not exactly what you think it means. When you go into that word virgin in the Hebrew, Strong's H5959, alright, it's the word Almah. Alright, and it means, as you can see, a virgin or young woman of marriageable age. Okay, so it just means a young woman of marriageable age. It doesn't mean a literal virgin. Alright, and to prove that, okay, I'm gonna go to let's go to the blue letter over here, and we're gonna go to another word that also is translated into the word virgin, Leviticus 21:14, and this is a law that the Levitical priesthood was not able to take a woman that was not a literal virgin. Alright, so this is Leviticus 21:14. A widow or divorced woman, or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. Now, okay, this is a different word for the word virgin right here. Alright, Strong's H1330. So instead of Amah, okay, this one, alright, I can't exactly pronounce it, Bethalah, alright, Bathala, alright, but anyways, okay, this one, alright, literally means an actual virgin, okay. So, alright, two different words for the word virgin there. Alright, so just wanted to bring that point out. Let's go back to, let's see. Okay, Isaiah 7:14. So this is a prophecy. It's really a double prophecy, alright, of Yahawashi, and then also Isaiah's son was born in the next chapter, chapter 8. But anyways, Isaiah 7:15, butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings. Alright, and like I said, okay, this also, alright, Isaiah the 8th chapter, it's a double prophecy. Alright, a prophecy of Isaiah 8, Isaiah's son being born. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this one in the blue letter too. Alright, and then also, you know, of Yahawashi later on. Alright, which was fulfilled in the New Testament. Okay. This is Isaiah the 8th chapter, and as you can see, this one is entitled Damascus and Samaria Fall. Remember, Damascus was the capital of the Syrians, okay, Rezin, and then Samaria was the capital of the northern kingdom, the two that were joined together to go up against, you know, the house of David. So this is Isaiah 8:1. It says, Moreover, the Lord said unto me, Take thee a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning, and I'm not going to even try to pronounce that name, but you see it. And I took unto me a faithful witness to record, Uriah the priest and Zechariah, the son of Jeberechiah. And I went unto the prophetess, all right, which prophetess is a prophet's wife, and she conceived and bare a son. So he stuck his rod inside of her, and she had a baby. Then said Yahawashi to me, call his name, that name that was written down. It says, For behold, the child shall have knowledge to cry, My father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. Because once again, all right, as I said before, all right, what did Ahaz do? He hired out the king of Assyria to go up against the Syrians and the northern kingdom that were joined together against him. All right, in the NLT, this says, For before this child is old enough to say Papa or Mama, the king of Assyria will carry away both the abundance of Damascus and the riches of Samaria. So there you go. All right, and this child was a sign, pretty much you could say, of of peace unto, Ahaz at that time, because, Ahaz, he was wicked, and the Lord had prophesied in the end of Isaiah 7 that the king of Assyria would pretty much turn on him and come against them, but it didn't happen until after he had passed away. Okay, so anyways, though, let's go into the blue letter and get that name in Isaiah 8:3. All right, and name here, Maharshala Shabazz. All right, Strong's H4122. It's a compound word, multiple words. As you can see, about 4 different words in the etymology, and see what it means. Okay, Strong's definitions, it says it means the symbolic name of the son of Isaiah, Maher Shah La Bash Baz. All right, and the name means swift is booty and speedy is prey. It's a symbolic name given by Isaiah by the Lord's direction to Isaiah's son, prophetic indication that Damascus and Samaria were soon to be plundered by the king of Assyria. There you go. All right, which once again, that was Ahaz's plan to escape, from the armies of Assyria, and from the armies of Syria and the northern kingdom coming against him. All right, so sometimes Assyria and Syria, you got to remember they're 2 different nations. Okay, but continuing on, so that's the prophecy of Yahawashi. Now this third portion of the chapter, okay, goes into, as I said, eventually the Assyrians are going to come against Judah. All right, so this is Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 17 now, and this portion is entitled Trials to Come for Judah. All right, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to read this portion in the NLT. All right, Isaiah 7 and 17, New Living Translation. It says, "Then the Lord will bring things on you, your nation and your family, unlike anything since Israel broke away from Judah. He will bring even the king of Assyria upon you. And in that day the Lord will whistle for the army of southern Egypt and the army of Assyria, and they will swarm around you like flies and bees. They will come in vast hordes and settle in the fertile areas and also in the desolate valleys and caves and thorny places. And in that day the Lord will hire a razor from beyond the Euphrates River, the king of Assyria, and use it to shave off everything, your land, your crops, and your people. And in that day a farmer will be fortunate to have a cow and 2 sheep or goats left. Nevertheless, there will be enough milk for everyone, because so few people will be left in the land. They will eat their fill of yogurt and honey. In that day the lush vineyards, now worth 1,000 pieces of silver, will become patches of briars and thorns. Their entire land will become a vast expanse of briars and thorns, a hunting ground overrun by wildlife. No one will go to the fertile hillsides where the gardens once grew, for briars and thorns will cover them. Cattle, sheep, and goats will graze there." So the Lord said, I'm going to send the Assyrians against you, all right, and they're going to execute judgment upon you. Okay, why? Once again, Ahaz was being wicked. Okay, so the Lord sent the king of Assyria, all right, against, later on, Ahaz's son, Hezekiah, okay, king of Judah, and that was in 2 Kings. Let me go ahead and get that right quick. 2 Kings 18. All right, when was that? That was when this was fulfilled. Okay, 2 Kings chapter 2 Kings chapter 18 and verse 13. All right, and it reads, it says, "Now in the 14th year of King Hezekiah did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Judah and took them." Okay, and what ends up happening is Hezekiah was actually righteous. He was a righteous king. So, if I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and verify that. Okay, yep, here it is. 2 Kings 18, I'm going to read verses 1 through 3. "Now it come to pass in the 3rd year of Hosea, the son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name also was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did." Okay, so once again, Assyria, the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, as we read in verse 13 down here, all right, king of Assyria come up against all of Judah, and he took it. Okay, King Hezekiah. Now, what ends up happening when you keep reading on that, okay, and you go to the next chapter, 2 Kings, the 19th chapter, King Hezekiah, pretty much prays to the Lord for deliverance, and he sends out an angel. And let's go ahead and go there, matter of fact. And the angel deletes, I think it was 85,000 Assyrians. Here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start Second Kings chapter 19 and verse 2 Kings chapter 19 and verse 31. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and they that escape out of Mount Zion. The zeal of the Lord of hosts shall do this. Therefore thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. And it came to pass that night, because once again, as I said before, Hezekiah stood up against Sennacherib. Okay, and it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. All right, so there you go. That was the ending result of that. Why? Because Hezekiah was a righteous man in the eyes of the Lord. The same thing is told of in Isaiah 37 chapter. Okay, Isaiah 37, down towards the bottom. At verse, let me see, boom, Isaiah 37 and verse 35. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000, so 185,000. Okay, when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. Okay, so there you go. So he came and he attacked. All right, at first he overcame, but just like I said, Ahaz was wicked. The first king that which is Hezekiah's father originally, who hired out the Assyrians to come up against Syria and the northern kingdom, and then eventually they because of Ahaz's wickedness, the Lord put the spirit on the Assyrians to turn on the southern kingdom, on the house of David. Okay, but because of Hezekiah, being righteous, all right, the Lord spared them and delivered them out of the hands of Sennacherib, the king of the Assyrians. All right, and then later on, like I think around like 2 Kings 26, the southern kingdom ended up getting taken down by Nebuchadnezzar, okay, king of Babylon. So that was the beginning of the first captivities of the southern and northern kingdom, okay, spoken of in Daniel the 7th chapter. All right, with the northern kingdom going into Assyria, okay, and being what's the word I'm looking for? Being captives at Nineveh, and then the southern kingdom going into Babylon, okay, and being captives under King Nebuchadnezzar. So that's it. Going back to Isaiah the 7th chapter. So just reiterate everything I went over. I'm gonna switch back to the KJV. All right. It goes into prophecy of, well, it starts off with, this is like history, southern kingdom and northern kingdom history of how the northern kingdom turned against the southern kingdom and joined up with the heathen to go against the house of David. All right. Okay, and then prophesied of the child Immanuel, which is just a title, meaning the most, God is with us, the great judge is with us. Prophesy of Yahawashi, and then also double prophecy of Isaiah's son, being born in the next chapter, Isaiah the 8th chapter. Okay, showing that the Lord would have mercy, on Ahaz, and would not allow them to be captured, by the northern kingdom and the Syrians. But because Ahaz was wicked, eventually the Assyrians would eventually turn on the southern kingdom, okay, the house of David. And then that's what happens. It's prophesied of in the last part of this chapter, Isaiah the 7th chapter, that he would bring the king of the Assyrians against the house of David, and that's what happened. But because of Hezekiah's righteousness, okay, the Lord spared them by sending his angel down and killing 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. Okay, so that's what this chapter is about. Some history and prophecy mixed in together, and that's pretty much how it reads when you read the prophecies. And the Lord set it up that way purposely, because see, Christians will read this and they'll think, oh, that's all just stuff that all happened already, etc., etc. They can't see the prophetic side of these things for the most part. All right, now they know this chapter, but I'm talking about within other chapters. They're not able to see the end time prophecy within some of these other chapters. Okay, but anyways, Yahawashi, this was edifying as always. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Wadash, and until next time, Shalom, and abide b'ball.